Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce, joined by Juice and Tyler, and our very special guest, the man of the hour, Mr. Justin Steele. Justin, first off, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing today?
Of course, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Always fun to jump on here with y'all. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we certainly appreciate you. I think we all agree with Dubs here. We're all very excited. Let's go. It's gonna be a great show.
Doing?
We're again so excited to have you on, man. We've got a list of questions for you today.
All about Malort, Justin. We're gonna talk strictly about Malort for the next hour.
So, for context with everybody, we're a little late getting started because we were all BSing in the pre-show. So that was among the many things that were discussed over the last half hour or so. But we're here, we're live, and we're ready to dive in things with you, Justin. A year removed, literally. I think we're almost like to the day of a year since you were on the show. We had you on the week of the waste management last year. It's becoming a yearly tradition, it feels like, at this point, man.
Let's continue it as well.
I think we can all agree we're in for that. And Justin, but we just want to get started. And a lot of these, the first set of questions here, more so focused on like you and what kind of you've done and things of that nature. But obviously last year, an incredible season for you. Your name was very much in the Cy Young conversation all the way to the very end. I don't think anybody had any doubts about that. But did you ever dream of being a finalist for a Cy Young? Like, was that ever something that was in the back of your brain that you were, wanting to achieve in your career? And were you discouraged at all that you didn't get the respect that we all believe you deserved in the voting at the end of the day?
It's a really good question. It's not something I was specifically, thinking of growing up and whatnot. I mean, when I was really young, I was just thinking of playing baseball professionally in any capacity, hitting, pitching, doing whatever. But I would say, probably once I got drafted, high school, you start thinking of like, you're dreaming of like just dominating in the big leagues, and like you just kind of want to, the recognition that comes with it and stuff is awesome. But I think more so I just kind of believed in myself. I knew I was capable of things like that if I put in the work and put myself in the right position. And I'm kind of one of them people that just kind of lets the pieces fall into place where they may. But yeah, I've always been confident in myself and knew I had the capability of doing such things.
I love it. Well, for what it's worth, we are discouraged that the voters didn't give you more respect at the end of the day. When it's
okay. I mean, dude, there's a lot of good guys in the big leagues, man. There's a bunch of different types of pitchers that are goods in different types of ways. So it's not an easy job for the voters, I would say.
100%. Juice, you want to hit us with the next one?
Yeah, Justin. So with being in the Cy Young conversation comes, your first All-Star performance and birth. What was that experience like? I know it was Bo's birthday. Probably a fun time to interact with other players that maybe you don't get to as often. And can you tell us something about All-Star Weekend that maybe us fans like don't realize or know?
Something that y'all might not know. I mean, it's extremely busy for the players. I remember like I kept trying to find myself like just wanting to kind of like stop for a second, enjoy the moment, spend time with family and friends that made the trip. But it's really hard to, because like, I mean, you're being pulled different directions. You got to be here, you got to be there. So it was extremely busy. I would say that's something people might not understand. But what was the first part of the question again? Oh yeah, my son's birthday. It's me and Bo share the same birthday. We were both born July 11th. So I would say that by far for me was the most special thing about it, was that, both of our birthdays, All-Star game in the big leagues. It's kind of hard to put a price or put into words how special that is.
So basically y'all's annual birthday celebration has to be you at the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That'd be something he could definitely remember.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm pretty sure the last time we had you on here, one of your goals was to increase your innings. 173 innings last year, which was awesome, impressive, and the most of your career so far. How did you manage days where like you may have not had the most energy? Is there things you did maybe pre-game or mid-game, any type of adjustments that you made last year?
I wouldn't say anything specific. I do a really good job of saving my bullets, I would say. I don't overdo it in any capacity as far as throwing and stuff goes. Now, like I do stuff in the weight room in between starts. I'm doing the proper soft tissue, proper recovery stuff, all that. But like the days I'm playing catch, like I play catch with a certain intent. So I'm not having to throw, super long, a lot of throws and stuff. Like no, like my game of catch every day is pretty specific. Like I'm probably going to make like 20 to 25 throws. It's going to be within 120 feet. I'm going to get what I need to get done in, and I'm saving the rest of my bullets. That's kind of how I look at it. So I think that could have possibly, played a factor into me lasting 30 starts, 173 innings and stuff. And, I would say a goal for this year is, I want to get over that 180 inning mark, hopefully approach 200. Because, you look at the guys who are throwing 200 innings every year. I mean, it's really impressive, man. It's fun to watch those guys, 32, 33 starts, 200 innings. Like, they're playing a different game. That's like a different kind of pitching.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like especially in today's MLB, right? Like the 200 was what an ace did, and obviously guys weren't throwing as hard unless you were Randy Johnson and killing birds on the way to the plate. But in your case, so obviously 200 would be great. Is there any reason that like 180 is kind of your, I guess, goal right now that you would say for this year?
You just do 30 starts times 6 innings. That's kind of what the quality start line is. 6 times 30 is kind of that 180 mark. So that's kind of where my head was at last year when I said that, and something going into this year. But 200 is just like, it's almost like, not that 180 is easy at all. Like it's not. It's extremely difficult. Pitching is not easy. But I would say like 200 innings, making over 30 starts. It's just another like echelon of like starting pitcher almost. It's like this is a horse. Like this guy's taking the ball and giving you 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 any given night. Like you look at like someone I always think too is like Greg Maddux. Like his off game was 7 innings still, 8 innings still. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like that group of pitchers. Someone I think too now is like Garrett Cole. Like Garrett Cole's logging 200 innings. It doesn't matter what's going on there. He's logging 200.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to like talk to any of those 200 inning guys at all? Like, I know that there's consistent guys that maybe you've passed at an all-star game or while they're in town or you're on the road. Anything that they do that maybe you're taking like into the off season this year that?
I wouldn't say anything specific. I think what I've been doing is moving me in the right direction as far as getting to 200 and stuff. The saving my bullets, the proper stuff in between starts. But I've had a handful of conversations with like Lester. I talked to Kershaw a little bit at the All-Star game. I got him to autograph a ball. I was a big fan of him growing up and stuff. So that was really cool. But, the thing you just kind of pick up on is, like, they put the work in between starts. They know what their body needs. They know who they are specifically. And I think that just goes an extremely long way.
100%.
I love that answer. So I went back and I listened to our show that we had with you last year. And we had asked you this question about what you were working on this offseason, what you were looking to improve on. And you said your changeup. You were working heavily on your changeup. Mm-hmm. How did that translate to the season, and what are you doing this offseason to improve?
Yeah, how it translated, I had moments where the changeup was working good. Those moments where I got swing and miss, got the ground balls when I needed to with it. I threw, I think, over 95% four-seam and sliders. So I've always gone back to the fact that you got to dance with who brought you, and those are the 2 pitches that got me to the big leagues. And in most situations, if I'm gonna get beat, I want to get beat with one of them pitches. I'm not gonna, especially with a situation where runners are on and I need to make a pitch. Like I'm not gonna throw my changeup. Like I just have so much more confidence in getting you out with a slider four seam, whether it's coming or not. Like I feel more confident, and I think that goes a long way. Is like, the best pitch in baseball is the one you're most confident in. It's not what he can't hit necessarily or what he struggles with in the past. It's the one that you have the most conviction and confidence throwing.
Yeah, I love that.
Heck yeah. And I was going to say, so putting this together, we all pitched in our questions, and Juice's question spurred a question of my own because last year,
I always
again,
bring out the best in you, Ronald. I
Hey,
always try.
I appreciate
even,
that,
even
Juice.
when you wake up in the middle of in the night and you're singing Taylor Swift songs, it's and Justin, that's a Cubs Con story for you. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. We'll get into that one. That one was fun. But are you adding any new pitches? Is that even a thing that you've considered trying to do? Because I know, for example, there's been a lot of reports that like Luke Little, obviously Leiter did it last year, Palencia, that splitter. It feels like the Cubs pitching staff is enamored with the splitter right now. Like, are you trying to add any other pitches to the repertoire, or are you content with saying, hey, I'm going to just keep improving the changeup, and then I'm just going to get guys out with the fastball slider?
Yeah, I would like to keep improving on my changeup and sinker as well. There were times last year against lefties, I wish my sinker would have been in a better spot, been a little more consistent, and I would have been able, I think, to maybe save myself some pitches, maybe give myself an extra inning here and there where I could throw the sinker in on the hands, get a quick out, maybe a double play ball here and there. Like, there were just moments where I was like, man, I wish I was a little more confident in my sinker. So I would say this offseason, I want to have my sinker dialed in. I want to have my changeup available. Just, them small things to where, like, it saves me 3 pitches here, 3 pitches there. It gets me an extra inning here. I think that could go a long way.
And one real quick follow up, because then Tyler's got a good question for you. But do you ever catch yourself, especially coming into spring training last year, obviously preparing to be a starter for the whole year? 2022 was a bit of the same. Do you go into certain like spring training starts and say like, I'm only throwing my sinker and my changeup, and I'll maybe throw a 4-seamer if I just need to get a pitch over the plate? Like, does that happen, or is it more just you go in with like a normal game plan routine and do like a spring training start to work on things?
During spring, I would say, especially early on, if you're working on something, that's the time to do it. I remember last year, like, I was throwing sinkers and changeups a lot. I'm pretty sure I was early on in spring because that was something I wanted to work on. But like you said, like, kind of like in a situation where you kind of need to get an out or something, I would go to my 4-seam, my slider. So that's definitely the thing. But as you get closer to regular season starting, you kind of start, you're getting into your 3, 4, 5 inning starts. You're starting to really hone in on what you're going to be doing in the regular season.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Was there any start last season that answered anything about yourself that maybe you didn't see preseason, like maybe like some kind of like an eye-opening start for you last year?
I think my start. That's a good question. My start last year against the Dodgers early in the season was kind of I think it kind of got me going on the right foot. I had my start against, I think it went Brewers, Athletics, and then Dodgers, or it might have went the other way where it went Brewers, Dodgers, Athletics. But regardless, that outing against the Dodgers, I remember specifically. It gave me a confidence boost after going into LA, pitching well against that good lineup. And I kind of felt like I was in a kind of cruise control after that for a little bit. So yeah, I would say that one. And then the start against the Giants.
I wanted to say that. I was just like, tell me about the Giants. Yeah,
that was one of them start. That was by far probably the best I've been, most consistent. Had everything that I was wanting to work that day. So that's one of them starts. Just you gotta you try to replicate that every time you pitch.
That start haunts me. I had tickets to that game and I had to get rid of them, unfortunately. And I remember watching on TV being like, son of a bitch, what did I just do giving those away? Why did I do that? Yeah, no, that
was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Tyler loves those Giant starts. We know how much the Giants fan base loves
Tyler.
Tyler, you got to tell that story. Tyler's writing articles about trading for players, and I just
made a suggestion because there's all this stuff going out with San Francisco right now about how maybe players may not want to come there because of just the town and everything like that. And I just joked. It started off, I just jokingly said, yeah, Logan Webb doesn't want to be in San Francisco. Logan Webb wants to be in Chicago. And the amount of like just reactions, I rattled San Francisco's fan base. And so now, just
Did
anytime
you
I can
wait? Are you the originator of that? Because I think Logan Webb has had to answer questions about that.
I mean,
Because
maybe.
I've seen
Maybe
him.
just-
Maybe
I got so
I
much.
like Logan Webb. Logan Webb's a cool dude.
I just got so much like hate towards that, and I'm just and so
I want to say I've seen him respond to something
I would just-
where he was
so
like,
now-
"No, I love San Fran. Like, what are you talking about?" Now I'm thinking like, "Are you the
that's
one that
electric.
anytime that like I can poke that bear now, I do it, and I love it because no, you didn't want to be there. You're an idiot, and I'm like rattled. Gotcha.
That's incredible. I think that
man.
that story gets even better now, Tyler, knowing that
Yeah.
you might have actually
Maybe
started
Maybe.
something, like truly started something.
He had a
maybe.
great year this past year. He's a lot
He
of fun to
did,
watch.
man. He did. He is like in all seriousness, he is fun to watch. Kind of like you were saying, some of them 200 inning guys. He's another guy that like,
Yeah.
he's
He's in
fun
on
to
his
watch.
bad days. He's giving you 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Tyler, I don't think we're doing enough, to be honest. I think you need to drop like 3 or 4 more articles, man.
That maybe even I may even I just make a t-shirt. I'll just make a t-shirt and just throw it out there.
I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
Talking pitching still. So who's a guy maybe in the league, the locker room, coach, player, former player, you just love to talk pitching with?
Ooh, that's another good question. I mean, the two guys that come, or just the guys that come to mind immediately, is just because I do talk pitching with them all the time, is Tommy Hotovy, the pitching coach, and then Jameson Taillon, Kyle Hendricks, Smiley. Just guys I've kind of spent a lot of time with the past few years, and I'm always talking pitching with them. Doesn't matter what's going on. So I always talk about it with them. My wife, Libby, she's always great to talk baseball with. It's a different perspective. She's always at the games, especially at Wrigley. So it's always cool to hear her perspective of things and, always put it in the back of my mind and keep tabs on it. But, the guys that come to my mind first are the guys that I'm, spending the season with.
So, Justin, just real quick follow-up on that. I'm a huge Jameson Taillon fan. I think he's going to have a huge year next year. I've seen a lot with like Driveline and him working heavily over the winter. Is he in Arizona with you? Is he down that way?
Yeah, he's out here. He's out here already.
Yeah, how's he looking?
He looks great, man. He's one of them guys. There's not a tougher critic on him than himself. He's harder on himself than anybody else can be. He's constantly trying to get better. He's always trying to figure out, how to get better, what's going on, like always watching film. He works extremely hard. And for me, he's been in the league longer than I look up to him. And, he's a great, role model presence for me just because, like, I like watching him, Kyle, Smiley. I like watching them do their work. It makes me want to work harder. Guys like Abbott, when you have guys working hard around you, it makes you want to work harder because it's like these guys are here, they've been here, they've done this and that, and you see how they work. It's like proof's in the pudding.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and two, he looked so good in spurts too. Like he has the stuff, and obviously.
No, I agree with you. I would expect big things out of him this year.
He just got married too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. We both just got married.
Yeah, I say y'all. Yeah, congratulations, by the way. But yeah, I thought I saw where he got married too. Awesome.
That's what's up. And Justin, transitioning now maybe a little away just from exclusively thoughts of your own, but probably some thoughts on some guys that you play with or things about the team. The first one being, have you had a chance to really interact a lot with your new left-handed running mate, Mr. Shota Imanaga?
Yes, I threw a bullpen in the lab yesterday, and is it Shota or Shota? It's Shota, right?
Shota. I believe it's Shota. Unless we're saying it wrong, and then I feel really stupid.
Shota was there watching my lab, and it was really cool. He had his translator there. He was asking questions about the computer and asking what different things meant. It was really cool to see that he was there watching my bullpen. And, I want to watch him throw his bullpens. I want to know how he throws a split, his changeup. I want to pick his brain as much as I can. I like watching him pitch on film and stuff. So I'm really excited to, get going on that front as well. So, I will say he knows better English than Say already. I think he's already been taking English classes because like today he showed up and was like, he either said, good morning, Justin, or good morning, Stu. And I was like, good morning.
Just totally just threw you for a loop.
Immediate take back.
He could not have had a better
I think he's going to be a fan favorite. I think he's going to be a fan favorite. I think he's going to be an electric person. Me and Keegan Noel, the strength coach, were talking about it. We were kind of like, I think he's going to be a hit. Like,
I think everybody was ready to run through a brick wall as soon as he introduced himself. I think everybody was just like, let's freaking go.
Dude, he's got some good energy about him. I like him a lot already.
I was going to say, Juice and I were watching it from the hotel room at CubsCon, and as soon as he did that opening, I looked at Juice and I was like, let's go! Just fired up. Like, yeah, he's made a hell of an impression to start. I was going to say, too, because it showed, especially when the reports like really early in the offseason came out that the Cubs were linked to him. And obviously, as we learned from Jed, taking it with a pound of salt, we've definitely learned our lesson there. But like, he was always a guy that we were all sitting here like, he would look so good in a rotation with you. And there's many other people in the baseball world that I know have had this similar conversation. The Just Baseball guys have talked about it too. I know you've been on their show before. Actually, fun fact, Jack will be on with us next week. That's a little bit
awesome.
of breaking news.
Yeah, I really like their podcast, their clips they post and stuff. It's really fun to watch.
They do such a good job. But we even sat on here and talked about it. And speaking of a guy jumping here in the comments, Mr. Joey Ricotta, our fellow coworker, I miss you, buddy. He says, showed it for Rookie of the Year.
It's got a shot.
Yeah.
the jokes are endless. I mean,
Ryan's got to clip that.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the jokes throughout the course of the season. I really am. Like, it's going to be incredible. But like, Justin, he was a guy that we said, like, he's a lot like you in the sense of neither one of you have anything that doesn't move in your arsenal, right? Like even your fastball's got the kind of the tail on it. Obviously your slider, like even he throws his fastball a very similar way too. It's either got a little bit of a cut action, or it's got a little bit of that old school 2-seam action. Like he doesn't throw anything that way either. It's going to be really interesting watching teams, especially assuming he's probably going to throw 2 days after you and not just the day after you. But
yeah, usually you want to split up like lefty righty, just so the other team's not rolling out the same lineup, getting consecutive at bats. So you usually split stuff up like that.
Yeah, get different looks. I remember we talked about it on this show ad nauseum. I always felt bad when Kyle Hendricks and Alec Mills had to go back-to-back days because one of them got teed off on the next day just because they were such similar pitchers. And
yeah, it's very similar.
You see a lot of it, and then you're like, oh, okay. But no, he was a guy that we all had that thought too. And it was like, wow, it's really, really, really cool that you guys are going to be in the same rotation because teams are going to have a hell of a time dealing with your guys' moving pitches.
I think there's going to be a lot for me to learn from him. Just watching the videos I have, how he uses his pitches. Like you said, we use our fastballs very similar. I'm ready to watch his bullpens, his labs, and see what makes him tick, like what he's thinking when he throws certain pitches, especially like his split change. I really want to get into his brain and see what he's thinking when he's throwing that because his is a lot more consistent than mine is.
Yeah, and I mean, I could imagine, right? Like, what if your changeup becomes as devastating as his, and then all of a sudden that's
the idea.
All of a sudden we've got this campaign very much on shirts, just like Tyler and Juice are wearing at the Cubs on Tap shirts here. Steele's 2024 Cy Young. Juice, I'll turn it over to you, buddy, for the next one.
Got another Arizona question for you. So a lot of guys down there already. Any names on the radar that showing really good early, and what are the golf foursomes like? Because I know you guys are hitting the links too in between, right? I mean, you're down there in Arizona, you might as well.
Yeah, as far as golf goes, I've been going with Brennan Davis and Jack Patterson a lot. So those were my golf buddies while I was at the alt site 2020. So that's I would say 2020 alt site is like when I really started falling for golf, started going a lot, was going multiple times a week, and it was with Brennan and Jack Patterson. They were going all the time. So I've been going with them a pretty good bit so far. Yeah, golf out in AZ's it's tough to beat the golf out here. And then somebody to keep on y'all's radar it's hard because I feel like all the Cubs fans do such a good job of knowing everyone already. Like they're all of you stay really in tune with what's going on in the minor leagues and who's going to be called up. I mean, y'all do a better job than I do. So I mean, I would say somebody that's been here with me a lot is Ben Brown. He's been here a lot of the off season. His bullpens are really impressive. Big, strong dude. Great guy. I would say he's someone that I would keep an eye on. He's just he's a horse. I'm excited to watch, him develop more and watch his season unfold. That's somebody I would keep my eyes on during spring. Obviously, Imanaga, it's going to be fun to watch him during spring, watching his first time pitching in a Cubs uniform. But somebody not on the radar. Okay, CJ Edwards and Brad Wick.
Okay.
Just because both of them have pitched in the big leagues for the Cubs. Both of them are, I believe, both are in camp. Is that, or I could be wrong on that. I don't know the specifics of everything. I put my left foot in front of my right and go to the field. I just get my stuff done. But I would say keep an eye on them during spring. There's a lot of they got time under their belt. They've proven that they can do it. I would say that's two good names. I mean, just because Cubs fans know the prospects who are going to be in spring training, who to keep an eye on and stuff. So I was trying to go off the beaten road there.
Quick question about Arizona golf courses. Have you ever played the Gainey Ranch course at the Hyatt?
No, I haven't. I haven't played Gainey Ranch. 2
quick tips. 1, Gainey Ranch, the lakes and the dunes, great courses over there. And the second, they have the best Sunday brunch ever. It is unbelievable. Like full spread, all the way down to like crab legs and lobster, and unbelievable. We stayed there for spring training in 2014, and went to like some of the games. And that's where I met Frank Thomas. We were sitting 2 tables over. Unbelievable buffet, though. Just heads up.
That's electric.
Food out in Arizona is always good. I feel like Arizona it's kind of like Chicago in a sense, where like there's a bunch of different varieties of food in one city, and they're all decent. It's hard to have a place that's not good and it stick around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say, speaking of a guy that you mentioned, a golf buddy of yours, I think a guy that most Cubs fans, if not all of them, are still like rooting for in the back of our heads just because of the amount of injuries. But Brennan Davis, I mean, how is he looking in terms of does he look healthy? Does he say he's healthy? I mean, I think all of us can agree that that's a guy that we'd still love to see get a crack at the majors because just his ceiling is so high.
Yeah, and that ceiling is still just as high as it's ever been. He's such a big, strong kid, dude, and he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's very committed to what he's doing. Yeah, he's looking healthy. He's looking exactly where he needs to be. I will say this: at that alt site in 2020, dude, he was top 3 toughest outs there, and like Nico probably being number 1. Like Nico was there for a little bit. Brennan was there. I mean, there was dudes there. Like Dietrich was there for a little bit.
Yep.
Wizzy was there for a little bit. Brennan Davis, Miggy and Amaya was there. I remember Amaya was really good that year. He was hard to get out, but Brennan was like really, really hard to get out at that time. And I remember thinking like, this dude's going to be a problem. Like at that time, he was only 20 or 21. And he's, facing MLB talent, guys that are up and down. So definitely like his ceiling is still there. And honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised if he hits it. He's a big kid. Like he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, just a guy that I know, especially with the back injury and everything that he's dealt with, like just the pure epitome of just the luck not going his way over the last few years. Because I mean, we've seen it in the numbers. I mean, everybody talks so highly of him and what he can do on a baseball field. Just literally, just the injury game has not gone in his favor, and I think a guy that we're all still rooting for. Yeah,
I've been there. It's tough. It's just there's just some things that are out of your control.
100%. Kind of playing along off of that, who's a guy that you worked with either maybe last spring, maybe a guy that you've started working with now down in Arizona a little bit here, again, that like we need to keep an eye on from the pitching side. I know you said CJ is another guy and Brad, but like who are the guys that maybe you've worked with the most so far this offseason? Just guys that you've gotten a really good feel for how they're looking kind of coming into camp, what they're working on, stuff like that. Who have been the guys that you've probably seen that throw the most so far down in Arizona?
Probably, I mean, the guys who've been in Arizona the longest with me has been Aber, Ben Brown. I'm kind of having trouble thinking of anybody else. I mean, here in the past week, everyone's starting to get into town, so I'm starting to see more and more people throw. But the two guys that come to mind is like Ben Brown and Abbott, because they were here with me pretty much the entire offseason throwing every day. So I'm just going to go back to Ben Brown because, you know, he hasn't made his debut yet, but I definitely see it in the foreseeable future. Big kid, throws hard, electric stuff. It's going to be fun to watch.
Trying to maybe dig a little scoop out of you here. You might not know this answer, which is totally fair, but has Ben Brown been told like, hey, prepare to be a starter and a reliever, or is he working as if he's a starting pitcher right now down in Arizona?
I don't have any recollection of conversations like that. I talk to Ben myself and I tell him, like, we've had conversations on how I came into the big leagues. I was in the bullpen, and he's right. He's got a great head on his shoulder. He's always asking questions. So, like, he's asked me about that, like getting caught up in the big leagues, coming out of the bullpen, and then transitioning back to being a starter. I think he's just kind of looking at everything that's in front of him and everything that could be happening. So it's very good questions to be asking. But he's one of them guys I see striving in any role you give him. He's got multiple pitches. He's got stuff that could be a power arm out of the pen. He's got stuff that could be a power arm in the rotation. So he's a great guy to have on your side.
Is an Adbert Arizona bullpen just as electric as when he takes the mound at Wrigley Field? Is he like screaming and being just crazy?
No, he's not screaming. He's not screaming, but he's hyping himself up. Like, he throws a nasty pitch, he'll like whistle. He's like, that's good. he does it for everybody else. He hypes other people's bullpens up too. He's a good hype man. He's a good hype man. But his bullpens are electric. Anytime he touches the mound, his stuff's sharp. And I can't really say that for myself. There's times I touch the mound, I'm just like feeling stuff over the strike zone, you know, get a good feel, get off, touch it and go type deal. But every time he touches the mound, it's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, as electric as the Jordans he was wearing at Cubs Con, man, those were nice.
Yeah, his 2 games always on point.
Good old average. Tyler, go ahead, my man. You're on mute, buddy.
Good now? Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler or Joey down there?
Yeah, exactly. We talked about this last year, and I know it's something that you take a lot of pride in, I think. Corbin Burns was recently traded out of the division. Are you upset at the difficulty of possibly having a pinch hit appearance against him now? Like, I mean, if we're facing the Orioles and we need a hit against Corbin Burns, you know, like, are we going to see it?
I mean, people around the Cubs facility at this point in time in my career know I can swing the bat a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it was ever going to happen, it was probably going to be last year when he was still in the division, and I would have actually had a chance to get in there and face him. It didn't happen, so it's hard to really see that happening at this point. But I mean, dude, I miss hitting. I'm one of them pitchers. I'm one of them annoying pitchers that enjoys hitting, and it's so much fun. It's a side of the game that I really enjoyed, and I really miss it.
Hey, I don't think any Cubs fan is going to think that's weird because the Cubs have had just a history of guys that could rake from the pitcher spot. I mean, Big Z was a hell of a hitter for his time.
The Cubs have good draws on that.
The Cubs could have their own home run derby with like former Cubs.
100%.
It'd be awesome.
Arrieta would probably win. I was around to see Arrieta's BP. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Kerry Wood. I remember Kerry Wood hitting bombs too.
Zambrano.
Travis Wood used to hit a bunch of bombs around. Woody was a hell of a hitter. Yeah, Cubs have had a weird stretch with just guys that know how to pitchers that know how to pick up the bat and swing, not the guys that sit up there and take 3 pitches down the middle and walk back to the dugout like some guys do. Juice, you on it?
Yeah. So a lot of talk we've had on this show is about how many arms you guys have starter-wise that are quality.
So many.
Well, I know that you're looking towards being that horse, and we talked about it earlier. What do pitchers think about six-man rotation? Because I know the game now is saving bullets, saving arms, getting into the bullpen. What's your thoughts on six-man rotation?
I don't really have a specific thought on it. I think it could make sense in different situations for, specific teams. Like if you have a bunch of quality guys and you kind of need the innings, like say you have some guys who haven't necessarily hit over 150 mark, you might want to open the season with a, six-man or something. So I don't really have a specific I'm in on six-man or I'm out on six-mans. I think it just depends on the team and the situation and what's going on.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and Darren brought up a really good question here earlier. It just kind of follows up on that one. He says, with the possibility of the Cubs potentially adding another starter, do you think there could be such thing as too many lefties in the rotation, or do you think right now where it stands with probably three of you? Obviously, we don't know for certain yet. Outside of probably you, Tyone, Shota, that fifth spot feels kind of up for grabs still behind Kyle, but presumably it could be Jordan Wicks. Is that too many lefties in your eyes, or do you think that's you're just?
I don't think so in our situation. Just because I would say me and Shota aren't your prototypical stock lefty pitchers.
Okay.
I would say there's some other guys who kind of fit that, but me and him specifically, I wouldn't say we fit that. So that it's not like you're just facing another lefty. Like it's a lefty with cuts, a lefty with ride, good slider, good change here. So yeah, I think with our rotation, you can't it doesn't really matter. But I think if you have too many lefties who are very similar, then yeah, you could run into a problem.
No, that totally makes sense. And we kind of made the joke a little bit earlier about Hendricks and Mills. So, same ideology kind of applies there. Tyler, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Justin, you talked about it a little bit earlier about saving bullets, playing catch with a purpose, throwing with a purpose, stuff like that. You see a lot of young pitchers today on social media constantly focusing on velocity. You see all these videos of these kids that are hitting 93, 94, 95 and all that kind of stuff, and which it's impressive. But what's your thoughts and advice to those kids that are maybe not as experienced in the game and are focusing on stuff like that?
I think there is definitely a place for it. You want to be able to maximize your body and your potential to throw as hard as you possibly can and stuff. That's very important. You want to be strong, you want to be durable, you want to be flexible, all those things that come with throwing hard. It's by far not the most important thing. I think what's more important is setting yourself up to have a healthy 162. I think that's far more important. I think there can be a lot of injuries and a lot of bad things that come with chasing velocity, constantly just trying to chase a PR, constantly wanting to throw harder. It just causes a lot of stress on your shoulder over time. And me, I kind of go the other way where I'm going to save my bullets, and when I do need to reach back for 93 to 95, whatever the case may be that day, I can do it and know that it's there, and know my arm is in a good spot to take on. There's situations in games where I need to go through a whole inning and kind of unload the tank. I need to get these 3 outs, and I start reaching back for more. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But I would say guys that just go out there and just blow it out every single pitch, just naturally you're putting yourself in a little more vulnerable position.
No, that makes total sense. And first off, Justin, before we continue on, I want to just give a big shout out to our comment section because it's been absolutely insanity over the course of this show.
I've been trying to keep up with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's to the point where it's hard to keep up with. So a big shout out to everybody there. One question before we get to some of the fun ones. Would you be willing to maybe answer a couple of fan questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
From the comments. All right, cool. So we'll ask our fan question. We'll get to some of the fan questions. Then we'll have the fun ones kind of for the end. But what are your thoughts on how free agency has played out for a lot of these guys? Obviously, still a few years until you have to worry about that process. by at least depending on where you look, you got more money than market value. Again, it's all weird projections and nobody knows for sure, but a nice $4 million for you, a well-deserved raise.
Thank you.
But is that something you watch just kind of afar, especially right now, right, where you got Dansby commenting at CubsCon like, well, we can't start next season until we sign Belly, and just how all of this has been dragged out, especially again with some of the Scott Boras clients more specifically, but the offseason as a whole has been very dragged out, maybe even more so than years past. Like what is your kind of stance on just how free agency has played out in Major League Baseball?
Yeah. I mean, my stance is probably similar as far as Cubs fans, Cubs players, staff. Like, we all want Belly back. He was such an amazing clubhouse presence last year. I loved showing up to the ballpark and, chopping it up with Belly each day. He's just a great person, great teammate. And, I want things to work out for him. He's such a great dude. As far as the rest of free agency goes, I mean, something fans, people, coaches, whatever the case may be, who needs to realize it is so hard to get to free agency in this game. Like, so many people don't get there. And so for me, the way I look at it is the guys who do get there, treat it however you want, because that is your time. That is the first time in your professional career you actually have a choice. Mm-hmm. So for me, take it as long as you want, as short as you want, do it however you want to do it. Like, if you want to Zoom call every team that's interested, do that. Like, that it is finally it's your choice. So so to me, I don't really say one way or the other. Like, do it exactly how you want to do your free agency process. That's kind of how I look at it. I know it's frustrating for the fans. Like, the fans want to see these guys land, in certain areas and stuff. But to me, I look at it from a player, obviously, and that's kind of how I look at it. Is like, I want them to have the best result they can possibly have and, like, be happy in the end.
I was going to say, because that's something even I've had a lot of conversations with. For example, like with my dad. My dad and I constantly shoot the shit on baseball on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And he will bring that up, right? He's like, well, like, for some of these players, like, when is enough in terms of money and these contract negotiations and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I tend to say the same thing. I'm like, Dad, you got to realize, like, if you got the opportunity to go get the bag, go get the bag. Like, do it however you got to get it, but go get it. Like, if you have one opportunity in your lifetime to get that big contract, take it. You should take it. Like, you're set, especially in baseball, because baseball contracts are guaranteed. Like, that's the one sport where if you can go out and get that money, do it. I mean, I know you're a big fan of the NFL. You constantly see it every year in March. Oh, this guy just signed for $80 million. That's great, but maybe only 40 of it's guaranteed. Like, there's a lot of what ifs that play into some of that stuff. Where, again, with baseball being fully guaranteed, like, letting these guys go out and get the money. And then, especially I think now too, right, you're seeing such the unique contracts. And especially I think the Cubs can claim that they've done 2 of those this year. Obviously Shota's deal is very kind of, hey, we can do this way, we can do this way, this can go 3 different ways. And even Neris's now just recently signed with the extra year option and going from team option to player option. Yeah,
I'm still on. Sorry.
All good. Hi, Libby. We're sorry we're stealing your husband from you. But no, I love that answer, Justin. Really do. I think it brings a lot of good perspective to just what I think a lot of fans are legitimately asking, just like, hey, why hasn't this guy signed yet, or who hasn't signed where? And especially in relation to Belly, obviously, I think every Cubs fan in the world is dying for number 24 to be back in center field on opening day. So we certainly agree with you there. But Justin, we got into the fun questions, so I'm going to dip into the comment section here because there were quite a few good ones that have been discussed. A couple of them coming from our big friend here, Mr. Dubs. He says, as Craig Counsell reached out to you and let you know kind of what he wants to see from you this season, or what kind of, your role on the team is going to be, your expectations, things like that?
He has reached out to me. We've talked a handful of times. Nothing in the sense of like what he's expecting me to do or anything. I think we kind of just have an understanding. Like, he wants me to go out and pitch very well every time I take the ball. And that's kind of, that's kind of all there is to it. But we've had some great conversations so far. I really like, the direction things are headed in.
That's what's up. My dad with one here. He says, "When is the extension talk occurring with the Cubs?" Obviously, you got still a few years of arbitration left before they might talk. But again, I mean, we've seen it around baseball. Guys have signed earlier and bought out some of those arbitration years. Colt Keith, just most recently with the Tigers, a similar type contract. Have you heard of any extension talks, or is that something that have to keep ho hum?
Yeah, I mean, as far as most I'll say on that is there hasn't been any talks or any discussions had so far.
Okay, fair enough. Dubs had another one for you. He says, what was it like to pitch in London during the UK series?
That was a great experience. That was something that was really cool. That was a moment in my career that I'll always remember, especially since I had a good outing over there and stuff. It was just really cool to, for me to be in the first time like over in Europe, that side of the world and stuff, doing that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun, and it was really fun to pitch in that environment as well.
Absolutely. Another one here from a good friend of the show here, Mr. Jeremiah, says, how many king cakes have you had so far?
I'll always have one a year. If I'm out here in Arizona, I get somebody to ship me one. I'm a big fan of king cakes. Cream cheese with strawberry filling is the way to go.
Oof, that sounds good. Quick little side story on king cakes. I worked at a job beforehand where, we had our treasury department, and they had one of the banks they worked with was down in the New Orleans area. So they would always send a king's cake every year. And I did get the baby. I got the baby one year. You got
to get the next one then.
I know. But they just kept sending them, so I didn't have to buy one. It was great. But no, those are great. So definitely was a fun question too that we wanted to bring up there. Oh, we had one from Mr. Joey because he knows you're a big golf guy. Who you got winning the Waste Management this weekend?
Can I pull up a list of names real quick?
Absolutely.
I'll give mine, Justin Thomas.
I don't want to give a BS answer. I want to give a real answer.
Hey, that's respectable. That's good because that actually gives me a
do we want a prototypical answer, or do we want like an actual kind of like long shot, like something that can win somebody some money?
I would say whatever your heart's feeling. This is just, what does Justin Steele feel?
Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler always play the Phoenix Open Waste Management really well. Someone that I think could actually make a run. I like Putnam. I think he could make a run at it. Just guys that are like kind of like not at the top echelon. Guys that are like, I like Montgomery. I like the way he's been playing. I believe. Let me see his first name. Taylor Montgomery. I didn't want to get that wrong. There was one more. Let me see. Luke List.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some long shots that I would look at.
We have the bet. We'll cut that up, Justin, and put that.
I was gonna say the betting guys are done.
Not betting advice. Not betting advice. I'm just saying, if you want to watch somebody to watch that could win at long shot, that's somebody to watch.
That's fair.
I like it. We got a couple too here. Admittedly, Mr. Scott from Iowa sent them earlier before anybody. One of them we're actually going to get to, so I'm not going to ask that one. But what is your favorite Toby Keith song in honor of the legend passing away?
Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue.
Oh yeah,
it's that one's above the rest by a pretty far margin for me. Yeah, rest in peace, man. Absolute legend. Somebody I listened to a lot growing up, especially like where I grew up in the woods. He was somebody that was always playing in the truck, especially like when my dad or my buddy's dad was driving. It's always someone that would always, ring true, true American, just all of it, man. He was the best.
Yeah, he an awful way to go too. Stomach cancer is certainly is just gross. Jeremiah asks, what are your thoughts on the Saints' new OC?
I don't have enough information nor knowledge of the situation to be making any type of claim because it could be unwarranted. So I would want I'll revisit that. I need to gather a little more information on before I start making claims.
That's fair. We got a follow-up question for Justin next time.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. This one's a fun one. What should the Bears do with the number 1 pick?
I am so firm on this. You have got to keep Justin Fields.
Okay.
You've got to keep him. In my opinion, I mean, I'm keeping him. You know what you got there. You know what you have. And I think if you use the capital and the position you're in the right way, you can put some really good pieces around him that make him a lot better. In my opinion, you use that first pick and you go get, I don't know, Marvin Harrison or Bowers to pair with him. And then from there, you get offensive linemen to protect him. Your defense is always going to be your defense. Like Chicago's always got a good defense. It doesn't, like, that's just like a thing. I don't know what it is, but Chicago Bears always have a good defense. But
We don't know
in my opinion, you keep Fields and you put pieces around him. You get him a good offensive line and you put pieces around him. That's my take.
Did you ever ran into him at all?
No,
Met him?
I haven't.
No.
I haven't.
That would be an electric collaboration. The pair of Justins
Fellow
running into each other into the city of Chicago. One more here from the comment section. Darren wants to know, before you become his definitive number 1 favorite, best day off, hunting, fishing, or golf? Do you hunt?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up hunting. I don't do a whole lot of it anymore. If I do something now, it's kind of just to put meat in the freezer. Like, I love deer meat, so if I do kill something, it's usually to put meat in the freezer. I grew up hunting though, and I loved it. That's tough. And for me, in this day and age, I would say fishing or golf. I'm probably going to lean towards fishing if it's the kind of fishing I want to do, like deep sea tuna fishing all day, and I can go with my buddies. I would say that.
I like it. I was going to say the fishing story from the charter sounded electric.
The guys loved it.
Would have killed to be a fly on the wall, or in this case on the boat of that trip. That was probably a hell of a trip. All right, so we're gonna get back into our scripted fun questions, and again, a big shout out to everybody in the comment section for dropping questions and joining the conversation here as well. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. The first one: what was your most fun road trip of the season, or favorite road trip of the season?
My favorite road trip has been the past 3 years is when we go to Miami, and it's just only because it's kind of like a little mini vacation in the middle of the season. Like, we get to stay at the beach. My family usually comes with me, so it's like Bo and Libby are there. We're usually hanging. If we have an off day, we're like hanging on the beach and stuff, and that's always a trip. That's a trip every year I look forward to, is going to Miami and staying on the beach because I love the water.
Their stadium's kind of underrated too. Like, I know, like, the outside of it looks like a George Foreman grill, but like when you go inside, like, I went to because we went on a cruise last year and we went to the Miami game, and I don't remember which one it was, but that's the first time. And yeah, it's not as bad as people, as far as inside's not as bad as people say it is.
I enjoy going there. I like playing there.
Heck yeah, juice.
Fair enough. All right, Justin, this is the only question I'll accept no comment to. All right, it's 2-parter. Who's the ruthless fan base on the road? And what's the place that you just hate going to, and why is it the St. Louis Cardinals?
What was the second question?
What's the one place that you go to on the road that you just hate going to, and why is it St. Louis?
It's not St. Louis. It's probably Cincinnati because the ball flies there. That's probably my least favorite place to go, and that's probably every pitcher on our team is because the ball flies there.
Okay.
What was the first part of the question again?
Most ruthless fan base on the road.
Phillies. The Phillies. Yeah. They know what they're doing. They do a good job of it.
You got a good story for us there, or no?
They just, when I pitched there, I think I pitched there twice. I mean, they just let me have it in my pregame bullpen. I'm okay with it. Like, I usually end up laughing at it.
I was gonna say, a lot of them got to be.
They do a good job. They do a good job. If somebody has thin skin, they'll get under it.
I was gonna say that a lot of them, you're probably sitting there chuckling while you're throwing, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Did the new rules affect your game at all last year? And is there a rule that maybe you would like to add this year if you could?
No, I wouldn't say it affected me too much. I think I only had 3 to 5 violations over the course of the whole year, and none of them really made too big of a difference. I like that it sped the games up a little bit. It
Yeah.
doesn't affect my game at all. I know it does affect some people, so I can't speak for them. But if anything, I would say it maybe helped me a little bit. Like I get into a rhythm a little bit quicker, a little bit sooner. Can kind of use the clock in my advantage because like they got to get in at 8 seconds, and I can like kind of still be walking around and stuff. You can kind of make the situation a little uncomfortable for the hitter. So I mean, it doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. I like it.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Juice?
If you weren't playing baseball, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be playing video games in some capacity. Hopefully professionally. I'm really good at video games, and I've had a little bit of, I wouldn't say professional experience, but I went to Major League Gaming Dallas. I competed there for a little bit. Like I was really good at Call of Duty as a kid growing up and stuff. I took it pretty serious.
So like when you were little, was your parents like the type that like get off the games, Justin? Like was it like that?
Yeah.
Now
I played a lot of video games.
But now, like you see those kids now, they're going to like college and buying $1 million houses and stuff like that, all because of video games. It's crazy how that stuff like comes full circle or whatever.
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah,
It really did. Really did.
So Justin, being in Southern Kentucky, SEC, all I hear about, all SEC Nation, all that kind of stuff. Your thoughts on Nick Saban retiring and roll Tide? Like will there be a Tide this year? Like, is there even a Tide anymore? Like, what? Saban's gone. What do you got to say about that?
Well, before Nick Saban got to Alabama, we still led the country in national championships. So I'll leave that there. But it is very bittersweet to see him go. It's one of the things you love that it happened. You hate to see it end, but you just appreciate the history and the greatness he was able to bring. You just respect it. It's somebody that, you know, if you're a coach, you're watching videos of Nick Saban at some point. Like he wrote the book. He's in the book. He's one of the greatest. He's, if not the greatest.
Like
we were very spoiled in the time that we were here, but in the passing of the guard, I really like who we brought in. It seems like Nick is sticking around a little bit, helping him out, showing him the ropes, which is really cool to see. And playoffs are expanding, and I think Alabama will still be in that playoff discussion. I'm not going to say year in and year out, but they'll be a top 25 team year in and year out. And they'll have a chance every year. So I'm not in that capacity. I'm not too overly worried about it.
Yeah, there's got to be like, surely they will do like a Last Dance type documentary on. There's got to be something like that with Nick Saban, right? I mean, they has to be. It'd be awesome.
Somebody at some point, someone had to have that idea that we need to be documenting what's going on.
Yeah. It would really be cool to see like just some coverage of him in the locker room, whatever. That'd be nice. Be cool.
All right, Justin. Spotify roundup. How's it look like? Favorite artist? I know you're I think you were one of the guys on Twitter that I followed, and I was like, oh man, he's like listening to the Morgan Wallen album when it came out.
Yeah, I like Morgan Wallen. I listen to country a good bit when I do listen to music. I really don't listen to music a whole lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like to gather information on whether it's football, fantasy football. I listen to baseball podcasts. I'm always listening to some podcasts, trying to learn something. But when I do listen to music, it's country, Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Ernest, Hardy, and then, you know, if anything other than that, it's like Rufus DeSalle, you know, just some different things.
Are you sticking to the same walkout song this year?
Yep, I'm going to stick to my guns there.
Awesome.
I feel like everybody likes it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's good. It fits well too. It fits well with you.
I'm country too, Justin. We're going to the Zach Bryan concert, I think.
Oh, nice, sick. Good for you.
At United Center in a couple weeks.
That's awesome. Good for you.
So it's no secret. You just talked about it. You're a big video game guy. I'm a big video game guy. Like I bought a PlayStation just for MLB The Show. I think the first one I had was like 2009.
Did the same thing.
And so basically what I want to know is, what are your thoughts on the, first of all, I'm not going to stand for this. What are your thoughts on the disrespect that San Diego Studios has shown towards you with your final live update was a 79 silver. Your in-game player picture wasn't right. They didn't have the hair, nothing. I'm not, if it means this year that I have to just campaign, if I have to write letters every day to San Diego, if I have to email them, call them, go to their doorstep just to get this right.
Yeah, we did send Tyler to the winter meetings. I don't know if
you got your diamond card, you got your all-star card, you got the finest card, but that live card, I'm not you, Justin. I took it as a slap in the face. I did. So, I mean, is there anything you want to tell San Diego? I will try to get that message out there, even if I have to travel across the country to do it. Because I mean, it's not right. It's not right.
I'm just, I understand. I hear you, and I understand, and I'm with you. It's just when I play MLB The Show and I use myself, I have my 99 card.
Yeah.
And it's unhittable. It's a joke how good he is.
So have you already
so it's kind of like I can't be that
it.
mad about it. Yeah, it's I can't be that mad at it because I don't have to use it because I have this sick one that San Diego Studios gave me.
Oh,
so it's
yeah. I got you. Yeah, that one. The one that only you have.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I know.
So it's I can't be beating down the door upgrade my car. It's
so basically, I'm just gonna have to do it myself then, I guess. Okay.
I guess. I mean, I'm sorry but I have my 99 cards.
I got you.
Really good.
Tyler, while you're over that way, make sure you venture up to San Francisco and do some
I'm gonna do
that way too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll go there and poke the bear. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Dubs said here his live series card photo looks like a Cole's photo shoot. He says he too will not stand for the.
I was just say, me and Dubs have had many conversations back and forth on Twitter about that. Yeah. Dubs can come with. I'll pick him up on the way to San Diego. We'll get it.
There you go. There you go. I do got one good question here that I just cannot pass up in the comments. It's from our friend Scotty. He says, how often does Justin listen to Cubs on Tap during the season? And do you share the hot takes and all the crazy shit that we talk about with any of your teammates? Do any other Cubs players listen to Cubs on Tap, Justin? I'm very curious.
Probably not. I don't. I usually don't share Cubs related stuff in the locker room with the guys. But I do listen. I have y'all followed, favorited. So anytime a podcast comes up, it'll pop up on my phone and I listen. So it's hard to put a number on how many times I listen. When y'all go live, it all just depends on if I'm on my phone or not. But
no, that makes sense.
It's hard to put a number on. I listen pretty frequently. Anytime there's a new podcast on my phone, I like to listen.
We appreciate that. Is there ever been a hot take though that we've said on the show that you just completely laugh at because it's the most heinous thing you've ever heard? Yeah, how often does that go through your head?
Well, Teddy called me being an all-star. He's made a few calls on me on my behalf, and they came true. So I would say I'll go with that. He's got good positive energy around my name in the baseball realm, and I appreciate that. I would say that
anytime.
Don't stop now, Tyler. You have to keep going. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. I got you. Final question for you here today, Justin. And again, man, we appreciate you joining us. But
of course.
Super Bowl pick. And are you a Swiftie? I think Tyler wanted to know that one. I think that was Tyler's question.
Team Taylor or not?
I wouldn't consider myself a Swiftie. I respect everything that she's done in her career and everything, and along with Travis, but I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie. I do. It's hard, man. It's hard to bet against the Chiefs, man. It seems like it's a Brady 2.0 where it's do you want to be on the right side of things or do you want to be on the wrong side of things, where Brady goes every other year or if not every year, and people are oh, he can't keep doing it, yada, and then he does it. It seems like that's about what's going to happen with this Chiefs dynasty they've started. It seems like that's what's going on. So to me, I want to be on the right side. I'm going to roll with Mahomes.
I totally respect that. I think that's certainly one. I will say, I know that you've had a hard time keeping up with the comments. Admittedly, I think we all have as well. A lot of well wishes to you, though, in the comments. People are very excited.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love and support.
Just as we are excited too, as well. I'm going to keep the outro short because we got to get you back to Libby and to Bo. But as always, everybody can listen to us at Cubbies on Tap. Follow our friends over at Dinger Cubs. They're also great. And ontapsportsnet.com, at ontapsportsnet on the socials. Go follow Justin if you haven't already. If you're not following Justin, you're a Cubs fan. I don't know what you're doing, but that's not my problem. That's yours. And Justin, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thanks for joining us today. This was
Thank y'all for having me. It's always fun.
Thank you.
Always love being a part of guys. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Well, and thanks again to everybody that listened along. And gentlemen, let's go Cubbies.
Let's go Cubs.
Go
go
Cubs.
Cubs.
Take it easy. Take it easy, guys.